Welcome to Finding Pictures, Latina and Latino graphic art and artists, where these glimpses of images on our first slide will soon be revealed in their full glory, along with many more. I'm Katherine Blood, a curator in the Prints and Photographs division, and this is where most of the library's works of art on paper are cared for. Nearly 17 million prints, posters, drawings, photographs, ephemera, and more, international in scope and dating from the 15th century forward.
And I'm Danny Thurber, a reference librarian in the Hispanic Reading Room, which works closely with Katherine on new acquisitions and art-related public programs. Together, in this presentation, we'll share collection highlights, offer tips about searching for pictures in our catalogs, and share information about our online resources, plus how to prepare for on-site visits.
Yes, Danny and I will be focusing on works by contemporary Latina and Latino artists, including many works by Chicana, Chicano, and Mexican-American creators, which are really a signature strength of our visual collections. And a primary goal of ours today and always is to help our users find works of interest in the library's collections. We want to acknowledge that terms can vary greatly with regard to creator and community self-identity and preference, usage over time, and other complex considerations. The library is constantly working to make its collections more discoverable while also trying to honor creator wishes.
Before we get started, please note that we will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A to help us track whether we have provided an answer.
We also want to let you know that closed captioning is available in Zoom. To view the in-Zoom captioning, click on the small up arrow next to the closed captioning and select Show Subtitle. Note that the captions may not appear if you're connecting through a browser, so please download the Zoom app and join us that way. With apologies, the auto transcription feature in Zoom does not always recognize Spanish as well as it does English. So here you see the Library of Congress Capitol Hill campus, where we have three main buildings. The red arrow points to the Prints and Photographs Division location in the Madison building. The smaller image on the right shows our reading room where people can come to see pictures in person.
And here, the red arrow points to the library's Jefferson building, where the Hispanic Reading Room is located. You can see a picture of our reading room on the right. We are part of the Latin American, Caribbean, and European division, and one of the 4 area studies reading room, along with the European, Asian, and African and Middle Eastern reading rooms.
So here we go. We're going to start our collection highlights with one of our true treasures, acquired by the Prints and Photographs Division back in 1990, well before Danny or I were working here. Up top is Barbara Carrasco's epic original graphite design drawing for her censored, now celebrated mural, Los Angeles History, A Mexican Perspective. Below is the artist's photograph of her completed mural in full color. To visually tell the story, Carrasco wove scenes through the hair of La Reina de Los Angeles, who is based on the artist's sister, with vignette scenes and subjects ranging from the celebratory to heart-rending. Here are some close-ups that show small sections from the left and right sides of the mural design drawing. Carrasco included notable figures like Juan Francisco Reyes, the city's first Hispanic and first Black mayor, and that's the leftmost red box that you see. And also United Farm Worker founders, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. They're not pictured here, they're further to the right along the mural. She included Depression era bread lines, that's the middle square, the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II on the right, and much more, saying, quote, "This was my chance to show what I wish was in the history books," end quote. When the Community Redevelopment Agency, who commissioned the mural, asked to remove parts that were deemed too controversial, Carrasco refused. Not until 2018, after decades in storage, was the 80-foot mural exhibited at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, then acquired for the museum's permanent collection in 2020. Here is another mural design drawing, this time by artist Mario Torreira, who was first introduced to us by our wonderful 21st Poet Laureate of the United States, Juan Felipe Herrera. The T-shaped composition of Mario's drawing, Colossus, gives us a clue to the mural's ultimate destination on a concrete pillar support for San Diego's Coronado Bridge. The east end of the bridge rises above the city's famous Chicano Park, a civil rights landmark designated a U.S. Department of the Interior National Historic Landmark and part of the National Register of Historic Places. Mario collaborated with Mano Lima, Lori Manzano, and Tomas Coyote Castañeda to create the final Colossus mural, which ultimately took on a bolder and more mythic quality. The design drawing strongly resembles the artist himself, and he's there standing below his mural in this 2017 photograph down on the right. In the drawing, the bandana has the symbol of the artist collective El Congreso de Artistas Chicanos and Aztlán, of which Torreira was a leading member.
Also related to a mural and in a way public artwork, here are 3 posters part of our Amplifier poster collection, all 3 featured in the library's Art in Action show, which we'll add the link to in the chat. The first one is Women Are Perfect by Colombian-American artist Jessica Sabogal. Sabogal believes artists have a duty to uplift the sacredness of women, people of color, and members of marginalized communities. Sabogal shared the following on this piece. The little girl is an extension of a mural I did, which has 5 mixed-race Bay Area children with a quote that says, "We are the ones we've been waiting for," in huge letters on a main intersection in downtown Oakland, California. The middle poster is Portrait of a Teacher by street artist Shepard Ferry, who created some of the most recognizable artworks of the 2017 Women's March. This image was published along with others in his We the People series as a full-page color ad in US newspapers, intended to be clipped and carried by protesters. The image is based on a portrait of Maribel Valdez Gonzalez, taken by San Antonio-based photographer Arlene Mejorado. Gonzalez is a self-described first-generation Chicana educator. The third poster, Knowledge is Power, is by Los Angeles-based Chicano and native artist Ernesto Llerena Montejano. His poster, Invest in Families, bears the hashtag Schools Not Prisons, a campaign stressing the costs of mass incarceration and advocating for community safety through health, education, and support for young people.
When we're building our collections, we often work directly with artists, and this was the case with leading Latina Chicana artist Esther Hernandez, whose work we first acquired over 20 years ago and immediately began sharing in exhibits and publications like the library's World Treasure Show, and also cataloged and in our American Women book. Esther's print on the left, called Dignidad, was made during the US bicentennial in 1976. So it shows a woman, and I like to think that's Esther, carving pre-Columbian art forms into the Statue of Liberty, an emblem of immigration, citizenship, plurality, freedom, and American identity. Carved near the base is the word Aztlán, or white land, the name for the Aztec land of origin, which legend locates in the areas of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and California. By the way, you can read more about this print in a piece called Opinionated Art by our colleague Martha Kennedy. In the center is one of Esther's most iconic images, Sun Mad, a play on sun-made raisins. And she made this after learning that the water table in her hometown was poisoned with pesticides used in California grape growing. And on the right is Mis Madres. This is one of my personal favorites, showing a woman holding the world. This beautiful image combines some major themes that run through a lot of Esther's work, including spirituality, ecology, identity, heritage, and depictions of powerful women.
The Printed Photographs division has about 15 works by Enrique Chagoya, a Mexican-born American painter, printmaker, and educator. The works we have in the collections were created between 1997 and 2010 and were acquired from a variety of sources. This piece here was created in '97, and it's called Mano Poderosa Ayúdanos, or Hand of Power, and it was published by the studio Sharks. It uses religious iconography, in this case, the wounded hand of the crucified Christ, and incorporates symbols taken from American and Native American sign language, alchemy, as well as Aztec, Mayan, and American pop culture. You can spot a small portrait of the artist on the bottom left corner, and Segovia shared with us that it was a projection of himself.
I love that. Artemio Rodriguez is one of many contemporary artists who are influenced by renowned Mexican printmaker Jose Guadalupe Posada. And Artemio also draws inspiration from the strong keyline compositions in early European prints. And you can see both influences coming together in his lino cut on the far left from his Loteria series based on the popular game. For example, you can compare the similarities between Albrecht Dürer's 1504 Adam and Eve engraving on the right, and then Artemio's lino cut version in that lower left corner, which we've circled in red. Just above that square, Adam and Eve, is a portrait of Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, the celebrated 17th century Baroque poet, scholar, nun, and women's rights advocate. And the more time you spend, the more you'll see there's a whole universe here. We're gonna give a big announcement. We recently made the library's stellar Mission Gráfica La Raza Graphics collection fully available online, working closely with the key donor artists to be clear about the necessary rights and permissions as we're able to reach the artists. Mission Gráfica began in 1982 in the Mission Cultural Center of San Francisco, California, which had made artwork since the 1970s. The collection also includes work from La Raza Silkscreen Center, later La Raza Graphics, Galeria de la Raza, Alliance Graphics, Taller Tupac Amaro, and others. Among the over 1,200 artist prints and posters are works by artists from multiple heritages, including many Latino and Chicano movement creators. Their subject matter often reflects personal, community, and also national and global concerns, stressing social, political, and cultural relevance, often in intersectional ways. At the local level are posters for exhibits, poetry events, festivals, dances, and other community-based happenings. On screen is a link for a recent blog about a variety of newly accessible collections, including this one. And on screen, going counterclockwise from lower left, are artworks by Juan Fuentes. That's his 2002 Voices on Paper poster for the 25-year retrospective of posters and prints by Mission Gráfica. Next is Oaxaca Rebelde by Calixto Robles from 2008. Then Alexandra Bloom's Encuentro monoprint from 2006. At the top right is Art Hazelwood's Galeria Zapatista at Mission Gráfica exhibit poster for his Pillars of Society exhibit in 2007. And then last but not least, by Josh Sanchez is his 1996 Dia de los Muertos poster promising a celebration that is both traditional and contemporary.
As Katherine mentioned, these works form a historical record of celebrations, struggles, and social movements, which show how important La Raza Silkscreen Center, La Raza Graphics, was as an organization, not only to the Latino community, but also in the Bay Area. In this slide, we include additional examples from this incredible collection, which Katherine mentioned is fully searchable online. These three works are by artist Linda Lucero, who was one of the original organizers and later served as the executive director of La Raza Silkscreen Center, La Raza Graphics. Many artists who started at La Raza and Mission District of the Bay Area remarked how the space and creative community gave them a sense of direction and personal growth, as well as opportunities to connect with artists and others working for positive social changes. Many of the artists went on to start their own community poster centers in other parts of the country. The library recently added to its collections 13 screen prints by Dignidad Rebelde that promote themes of social justice, Chicanx, Latinx communities, immigration, contemporary art influenced by pre-Columbian motifs, and more. Dignidad Rebelde is a graphic arts collaboration between artists Melanie Cervantes and Jesus Bharatha. Their mission centers on art being an empowering reflection of community struggles, dreams, and visions. Following principles of Chicanismo and Zapatismo, they create work that amplifies people's stories, emphasizing putting art back into the hands of the communities who inspire it. On the screen, we have two prints. The first is Melanie Cervantes' Coyolxauhqui Watch Over Me, a prayer from 2020. The artist states, "In this piece, I pair Coyolxauhqui moon and her star siblings in the sky over the Mexica Aztec pyramid, temple of the moon, and the long footpath toward the temple. Whenever I feel deeply isolated, I say a prayer to the moon that watches over me, no matter where in the world I have my feet planted." The second image is La Guadalupana by Jesus Bharatha, a portrait of Maria Guadalupe Salas, the artist's grandmother, an important figure in his youth. This print is part of a personal series where the artist researched his family's history and created portraits using old photographs from his mother's photo albums. Another significant art collective the library is fortunate to include in its collections is Self-Help Graphics and Art. As an organization rooted in community, Self-Help has been at the intersection of arts and social justice, providing a home that fosters the creativity and development of local artists through experimental and innovative printmaking techniques and other visual art forms. This particular print, Quatlique's Legacy by Lucinado Garcia, commemorates the 50-year anniversary of the 1968 student walkouts in Los Angeles. The image shows a graduation procession of cultural icons from historically marginalized communities of color, drawing on the original Chicano Power poster of the walkouts and archives from the demonstration. The artist modifies a newspaper collage to reflect the political realities of people of color in 1968. Last year, during Hispanic Heritage Month, we displayed a facsimile of Quatlique's Legacy to promote the release of Season 2 of our own La Biblioteca podcast. Episode 3 of the podcast, which we'll link to in the chat, delves into the history of Latinx student activism from the 1968 Los Angeles walkouts, also known as the blowouts, to current Gen Z student advocacy. You can see the image on the right, that is the display that we had in our reading room. I'll talk a little bit more about the podcast later in this presentation. Another significant recent acquisition, in addition to the library's fine prints collections, and perhaps my current favorite, is La Raza Cosmica by artist Michael Menchaca and master printer Julia Samuels. It is a suite of 16 screen prints invoking the Spanish casta painting tradition of colonial Mexico. Each casta consisted of a domestic family portrait with posing parents and their hybrid offspring in colonial dress. Castas were labeled in Spanish script at the bottom of each portrait according to the racial mixture of the child. Menchaca's La Raza Cosmica contemporizes the portraits from a 1777 castas painting titled Las Castas Mexicanas by Ignacio María Barreda. The 16 individual prints in the series feature New World racial combinations as a variety of animal archetypes posing with their tech devices in the traditional casta painting form. In this way, Menchaca turns to world mythology to depict a variety of Latinx families as hybrid instruments of digital technology, correlating the societal influence of technology in the 21st century with antiquated forms of systemic oppression. And in this slide, we have a close-up of two of the prints part of this series. The first one is Mestizo number 1, which is the mix of European and Spaniard with Amerindian. And the one on the right is Mulatto number 5, which is the mixture of European, Spaniard with African. Another personal favorite is Fabian Rodriguez, who is an interdisciplinary artist, cultural strategist, and social justice advocate based in Oakland, California. In the library's collections, we hold about 20 prints by the artist, and here we are highlighting 3 of their works. The first on the left is Viva Vetita from 2010, and it's a recent acquisition a serigraph print of a limited edition, which Rodriguez dedicates to her mentor, Elizabeth Petita Martinez, a Chicana feminist and longtime community organizer, activist, author, and educator, who was very important to the artists. She gave them many opportunities early in their career. In the middle, we have International Migrants Day from 2003, a screen print poster commissioned by the National Network for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, also based in Oakland. And it was commissioned to celebrate the International Migrants Day, which takes place every year on December 18th. This piece calls for respect and justice, and the commemorative date provides an opportunity to highlight important issues affecting immigrant communities. Lastly, on the right is Migration is Beautiful from 2018. This is an offset lithography of a stylized monarch butterfly with faces in each wing. This image is strongly associated with Rodriguez's work. The artist states, "Migration is Beautiful celebrates the resiliency, courage, and determination of migrants who come in search of their dreams." Originally launched as the Migration is Beautiful campaign back in 2012, since then, this image has become a popular symbol of the global immigrant rights movement.
Fabian Rodriguez credits artists like Esther Hernandez, Juan Fuentes, and Rupert Garcia among her influences. Rupert Garcia has been an important force too in the field of Latino art scholarship as an art historian himself. We are honored that he and Esther Hernandez kindly allowed us to share their artwork on the National Hispanic American Heritage Month website, a collaborative site with shared content from the Library of Congress, National Archives, National Gallery of Art, National Endowment for the Humanities, Holocaust Memorial Museum, National Park Service, and Smithsonian Institution. On this page, you see a glimpse of Garcia's iconic Frida Kahlo screen print portrait, also from our Mission Gráfica La Raza collection.
Now we'll show you some strategies for searching the collections and finding digitized images through the Prints and Photographs Division online catalog.
We begin with the P&P Reading Room homepage, Prints and Photographs Division Reading Room homepage. And for visual searching purposes, this is the page to bookmark. We'll cover a few highlights and invite you to keep exploring on your own later. First, near the lower right, you can see a question mark that leads to our Ask a Librarian service. And when you click on that link,
a form comes up. In that chat, we have links for both the Prints and Photographs and the Hispanic Reading Room Ask a Librarian services. Prints and Photographs, or PNP, as we lovingly call our division, is the place to go for questions about original artworks and visual materials. And in the Hispanic Reading Room, we have specialists in the geographical area, as well as language experts for the parts of the world encompassing the Caribbean, Latin America, Spain, and Portugal. We confer with each other and are always looking out for Ask a Librarian questions, and we typically respond with at least an initial answer within 5 business days. This is also how you can request in-person appointments. For those who can't visit us in person on site, we're always standing ready to answer questions about the pictorial collections through our Ask a Librarian service.
Absolutely. One of our really hot topics perennially, rights and restrictions, and we have a web page dedicated to rights and restrictions information. Because our collections come from many countries and time periods, rights really vary and we don't always know the right status. But when we do have information, you'll find it likely on this page, listed by creator, publisher, or other rights holder. This is not an exhaustive list, of course, but it's always growing. At the top, under general information, is a link to really useful guidance, practical guidance about how you can evaluate rights and assess risk for images that you find. Other useful homepage links include guidance about service from a distance and specific subject collection guides, finding aids, special image lists, and a link to our blog called Picture This. The link at the bottom right leads to our duplication services website, where researchers can order scans or prints of collection items.
So now let's dive into the Prints and Photographs online catalog, where you can search descriptions of visual collection materials and access downloadable content.
Our Prints and Photographs online catalog, which we call PPOC for short, currently describes some collections at the item level and some as groups or as whole collections. Online catalog records can be very detailed or very basic or somewhere in between. Of the nearly 17 million items in the P&P collections, about 1.4 million images are digitized. Some digitized images display at large size and are downloadable from anywhere due to their open right status. Other images display only as thumbnail from searching offsite the Library of Congress buildings because of rights considerations. The most basic way to search is by keyword, including name, place, subject, format, or date. We usually suggest starting with simple terms. Search results show only those records that have all of the keywords that you use. So too many items can inadvertently filter out relevant results. For our topic today, the most effective way to currently search is by artist name. Here you see search results for the artist Carmen Lomas Garza, which pulls up 5 results, including a group level record. We actually have 8 total works by this artist, partially described by that group level record that you see on the left. Only thumbnail images display from offsite for rights reasons.
You can also browse alphabetically by creators and related names, subjects, and formats. This slide shows Eric J. Garcia in the alphabetical browse list for the letter G. And here is one of his artworks at the right called Chicano Air Force, inspired by the artist collective and the artist's own enlistment in the Air Force. The numbers in the parentheses indicate how many catalog records are currently in the online catalog for that given creator. If there are no parentheses, it means there's only one online catalog record that is described with that particular index term.
Going back to the PPOC main search page, here's what comes up when you search for the artist name Esther Hernandez, the search on the right. PPOC lets you view results in several different ways. Here I chose the list view, which has the advantage of more textual information up front, along with thumbnail images for scanned items. Esther's beautiful portrait of Mexican Haitian singer who's known by the stage name Toña la Negra is also from the Mission Gráfica collection.
The grid view, which is highlighted here, is a great way for quick visual searching and browsing. Here's what comes up after a search for the artist named Rupert Garcia, and then clicking on the grid view option at the top right.
And the third option, the gallery view, you can see larger thumbnail images with basic text descriptions drawn from the title fields. And now let's talk about those 3 little white boxes just above the top row of images. Those are very useful. These check boxes let you choose between looking at items that have larger images available for viewing anywhere or only at the Library of Congress based on their right status. Let's choose the box above the upper left image that will show us which of these artworks have larger images available to view from anywhere. And here's what you see. In the collection, this particular collection, larger images are viewable for works by creators who have granted some level of Creative Commons access, this collection and others. Let's look at the center left image, the angelic figure by Calixto Robles. We click on her thumbnail, which brings her up in a larger size, the beautiful Lady of the Flowers. Most of our online records include a rights advisory field and a link to the page where you can look to see if we have information for individual or collective creators and check their rights requirements. At the bottom by the blue arrow is Calixto's name, and you can click there to pull up his full right statement, including how to reach out with permission requests, and we'll leave you to do that if you're interested on your own. There is also a way to search exclusively for images with no known restrictions. As a public institution, the library, of course, cannot grant or deny permission to use images, and we don't own rights to images in the collection. But for those images without known donor restrictions and copyright restrictions, we include the rights advisory, no known restrictions on publication in the description. Documentary photographer Carol M. Highsmith, I happen to know, generously dedicates the rights for her photos in the library's collection to the American people for copyright-free access. Here's a sample search combining the word Latino with her surname Highsmith and that magic phrase, no known restrictions. When you use this phrase, the results with digital images will be viewable and downloadable from offsite. So let's click on the first image. The full description displays for Highsmith's 2015 photo of the Latino Chamber of Commerce headquarters in Pueblo, Colorado. The blue arrow in the middle right on screen shows the rights advisory with the phrase no known restrictions. There should be a rights advisory statement in most online records, giving clues about what we do or do not know about the rights status for each item or collection. Here's another search for Virtual Tejanos, which is the title of a screen print by Juan Miguel Ramos from our Sam Coronado Seri Project collection. We want to point out that each record has 3 file tabs. The red arrow points to the first file tab called About This Item. So that's what we're looking at here. Let's look next at the tab for obtaining copies. If there's an item that interests you that has not yet been digitized or which has been digitized but is not freely downloadable from off-site because of rights restrictions like this example, you have the option to purchase high-resolution copies through the Library of Congress duplication services. The Obtaining Copies tab in the online catalog record gives you the information needed to purchase a digital file or print. You can also click on the third tab to find out how to request access to the original print in our reading room. And we'll leave you to explore that on your own if you wish.
When you locate an image that you can access online outside of the library, so you can access it off-site, you can directly freely download the digital file by clicking on the links that say JPEG and TIFF highlighted here below the thumbnail in the catalog record. You'll remember Jessica Savogal's poster from our Amplifier collection, which has non-commercial Creative Commons access.
As we said earlier, the library is always working to make our collections more discoverable while also trying to honor creator wishes. Terminology can vary greatly, so flexible searching can pay off. We want to show you 2 online record examples. One is this overarching collection guide record for our Mission Gráfica La Raza collection, which includes a lot of helpful things, including a partial list of artists and also a variety of subject terms, including Chicano movement, Hispanic American art, and Hispanic American civil rights. And we can compare that to this item level record for one of our Michael Menchaca prints from his La Raza Cosmica series that Danny described earlier. In this case, our cataloger was able to find and include a statement about the work by the artist, and she included that statement in order to provide keywords and phrases that the artist himself chose, like Latinx, Latin American people, mestizo, mestizaje, and more.
Now let's turn to other kinds of online resources, including research guides, social media, and podcasts. The library has a wide array of online research guides, which you can use to explore the collections. There are currently about 30 different guides indexed under the subject Hispanic American Studies, including this guide, which I co-edited, called A Latinx Resource Guide, Civil Rights Cases and Events in the United States. It is one of the library's most used and popular guides. And if you click on it, here is what the guide looks like. And you can see we use the Amplifier poster I shared with you earlier as our gateway image. You'll see we are adding the links to these resources in the chat, but if you also see the QR code on the screen, please feel free to use your phone to scan the code and access this resource. This particular guide was compiled by 2 amazing Huntington Fellows who worked and researched Latin American, and Latino collections in the Hispanic Reading Room, who I must give a quick shout out to. They are Herman Luis Chavez and Maria Guadalupe Partida, Hermana Lupita. This is one of the first research guides that we put together in the Hispanic Reading Room, where we use the term Latinx. Another recently published research guide focuses on Latin America and Caribbean photographs. The library's photography collection in this area are expansive and growing. Our photo curator and colleague Adam Silvia authored this guide last year. If you're in,
oh, go ahead. I'm
oh,
sorry.
sorry. No worries. So that one, yes. If you're interested to learn more on what we're up to in the Hispanic Reading Room, I recommend checking out the Four Corners of the World blog, which we maintain with our fellow International Divisions colleagues. It is one of our main portals where library staff, interns, visiting scholars can share news and interesting findings about the collections. You can use categories which we are highlighting here on the left of the screen, to view posts specific to those topics. For example, Hispanic Americans, Hispanic American history, the Hispanic Reading Room, etc.
I was so eager. This is a wonderful resource, and please check it out. And also check out the library's Picture This blog, which is a great place to learn about the wider sweep of our collections. And I can mention that both Picture This and our blog from the Catbird Seat, Poetry and Literature, have both featured posts about artworks, which you may recognize by now, by Mario Torreira and Artemio Rodriguez. And please look out for our Picture This blog post by our colleague Maggie McCready, which is planned, I believe, for September. Maggie is the archivist who worked on the Mission Gráfica La Raza collection project, and she's going to give a behind-the-scenes look at how a collection is prepared for online access, with the focus on creative and professional collaboration, which is a perfect, is really a perfect topic for Mission Gráfica La Raza.
Similarly to the blogs, for social media, we also have a Facebook page. It's called the Library of Congress International Collections Facebook page. We also share this outlet with our fellow International Divisions colleagues, but you can find here posts on Latinx related collections, important commemorations, and images from the Prints and Photographs Division. We also recommend checking out the library's Instagram and Flickr pages, especially as these are wonderful places to experience the library's visual resources. Last but not least, after the success of the Latinx Civil Rights Guide, our Huntington Fellows, Herman Luis Chavez and Maria Guadalupe Partida, continued their work on La Biblioteca podcast, producing season 2 titled Exploring Latinx Civil Rights in the United States. As I described earlier, episode 3 focuses on the LA student walkouts. If you want to listen to that episode or others from this season, please scan the QR code on the screen or follow the link from the chat. Season 2 brings together advocates, scholars, and Congress members to a conversation that Hermana Lupita led on historical events, ongoing issues, and significant legislation that has affected the Latinx community. And we'll leave you here with a list of our additional links to our resources, all related to the library's Latina, Latine, Latino, Latinx collections. We have many research guides and story maps, and we're always working to create more of these access tools to better help you navigate the library's collections. I invite you to check them out.
And Danny and I want to thank all of the artists who kindly allowed us to share their work with you today, and all of you for spending some time with us to hear more about our strong and growing Latina and Latino art collections and how you can explore them.